So welcome everyone to our webinar this evening, the topic being Women in Aviation, hosted by Atlantic Flight Training Academy. My name is Catherine Kennelly and I'm your host for this evening. I'm a first officer and a synthetic flight instructor for Ryanair, and I also completed my flight training in Atlantic Flight Training Academy. So we have a big panel of female pilots with me tonight, some highly educated, motivated and successful women. We've Hayley Scannell, she's a first officer in Aer Lingus, Nicole Hipson, a first officer at Emerald Airlines, Eva Kelly, who's a first officer in CityJet, Ella Butterworth, who is a student pilot currently at Atlantic Flight Training Academy. And last but not least, we have Jenna Eustace, who is the Sales and Marketing Manager at Atlantic Flight Training Academy. So the running order for this evening is everyone on the panel, including myself, will do a quick introduction on ourselves. And then we will answer some questions that, well, the girls will answer some questions and we'll have a bit of a discussion to enlighten you on what inspired us to be pilots, maybe some difficulties and some positive things about being a woman in aviation, which will enlighten you. And then we'll pass you on to Jenna, and she's going to do a presentation on Atlantic Flight Training Academy, the course structures, airline partners and all that good stuff. And then finally, we'll open up the room to all you participants tonight, and it'll be your chance to ask us any questions, whether they're big or small. There's no such thing as a silly question tonight. I know myself, I had no one in my family that were pilots or anything to do with aviation, so it's quite difficult to actually get the information about aviation, so please do make use of us tonight. So I'll start off then by introducing myself. So once again, my name is Catherine Kennelly. I'm 26 years old. I'm from a small town in West Limerick called Aviation, southwest of Ireland. Prior to becoming a pilot, I studied accountancy in Munster Technological University. And then straight after that degree, I went straight into Atlantic Flight Training Academy, where I did the integrated course there. It took me about 18 months, and less than a month after completing my flight training, I got my job at Ryanair. So I've been in Ryanair just under 4 years now. I'm a first officer and a synthetic flight instructor now. So I've been part of the training department in Ryanair since September. So that means that I do any additional training with any pilots in Ryanair that may be struggling. I do ground school, type ratings, and the 6 monthly checks on all our Ryanair pilots. So that's me. Hayley, if you want to introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Hi everyone, my name is Hayley. I'm an officer with Aer Lingus. So I finished my training in Atlantic back in 2018. I got my first job as a commercial pilot and I flew before I joined Aer Lingus. So I've been nearly coming up on 4 years. I work on the 320, so I'm based in Cork. I do all the European and the transatlantics from both.
Cool. Great. Perfect, Hayley. We'll move on to Eva then.
So my name's Eva Kelly. I'm from Letterkenny in Donegal. I finished my training in AFTA last May. 6 months later, I got my job with CityJet. So I've been working there for 4 months. I'm still currently doing my line training. Hopefully next week I'll get my line check done, and that'll be me out in the line then.
Brilliant. Thanks, Eva. We'll move on to Nicole then.
Hi everyone, I'm Nicole. I'm First Officer at Emerald Airlines, possibly better known as Aer Lingus Regional, and I completed my training with AFTA in December 21. And for about 8 months, I was sort of searching for some jobs. I know the job market had slipped slightly just due to COVID and things like that. So, but finally, it's definitely peaked again. So I just started there back in October with Emerald, and I've just finished my type rating, and I've started my line training with them so far. Previous to that, I was cabin crew at BA for about 7 years. So I've been in the industry for quite some time now, but I always aspired to be a pilot.
Great. And where are you going to be based, Nicole?
I'm based in Belfast, so I've got a dual license now, so a UK and EASA license.
Fantastic. Great. Thanks so much. We move on to Ella then.
I'm Ella. I'm from Manchester in the UK, and I'm currently training with AFTA to be a pilot for Ryanair, and I'm doing the Ryanair mentor program.
Cool. And what stage are you at in the course?
I start ATPLs on Monday.
Okay. All of us are having a little laugh at that. Yeah. Okay. You're in the real depth now, but you'll get through, I'm sure. Definitely. Great. Okay, so Ella, so you can start off with the first question. What inspired you to pursue a career in aviation?
Well, I've always loved planes since I was about 7 years old. I always used to think takeoff was like the best thing in the world. I used to always say to my dad, I wonder how fast your car is compared to this going down the runway. So when I was about 7, I used to say, oh, I'd like to be a pilot. And then I flew on a jumbo when I was about 13, and that was what made me want to do what I want to do. I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. And then I finished college and it was COVID. So I started applying for jobs, and I was a Ryanair cabin crew for a year. It was the best thing I did because it made me make sure I want to do that. And I just knew that I was on the wrong side of the door. It used to tease me every day because I just wanted to be sat in that flight deck. Yeah, I just love planes. I find them fascinating how they fly. Everything I've always wanted to do.
Great. Okay, so there's Hayley, you were cabin crew as well, weren't you? In Aer Lingus.
I was, yeah, I was cabin crew with her nearly 4 years.
Great, yeah. Do you think it benefited you to do the cabin crew thing beforehand? Sorry, did it benefit you to be cabin crew? Are you happy you did that before getting into flight training?
Yeah, I think it really motivates you to get through the training, and I suppose for me, because I just couldn't afford the integrated course and it's cabin crew, I probably wouldn't have went big at finding the money. I would have just kind of left it slip every day. It really, I suppose, pushes the ultimate goal of like getting your pilot license official, and you learn loads as well, and you like the types of rostering with the cabin crew and the pilots. A good foundation of how important CRM is. I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I completely would agree that I haven't been cabin crew, but that's what I do hear from people. And as you said, it really motivated you. You were in the aviation industry, you know, to whatever, save up or keep your study going and stuff like that. So yeah. Great. So yeah, Hayley, I'll ask you this question then. When you finished your training, was it difficult to get a job in the industry, and how long did it take?
Really lucky. I suppose the time that I finished training, it was before COVID, so airlines were, so I actually had CityJet before I even finished my MCC. A blessing in disguise, because I had to pay the 30,000 to go to Ryanair. Cured about 3 weeks after I finished, so I was really, really lucky. Now to be a lot of help from the CityJet had for potential candidates, and myself and one other guy, and we both got the job. So we were really, really right place at the right time, I suppose. Didn't have to wait long. Happened, and yeah, I suppose the first to get, but once you get it, so many other doors. I got into Aer Lingus very soon. I put that down to my experience that I had gained.
That's great. And it's great. You said you had it, 3 weeks before you actually completed your course in AFTA as well, which I'm sure took a little bit of pressure off you and all that stuff. I think I remember that actually when you did get it. It was super exciting.
Yeah.
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 It
So
was a good time. Great, thanks, Hayley.
really, it's the right time, at the right place at the right time. The thing about AFTA, I think so everybody knows on the call how it helps, so it's definitely a great skill.
Yeah, definitely. And along those lines with me as well, when I finished up in AFTA, the support that I got, and everyone there to give me my sim prep for Ryanair and HR prep and tech interview prep was like something that really stood out for me, that they supported you after. They didn't just throw you out the door and good luck and goodbye. So did you find that as well, Eva?
Yeah, like when I applied for CityJet, it all happened within like 2 weeks. So like I had very little prep time. So when I called after and said I need a sim like ASAP, I was straight down. They booked me in straight away, and it was like they were really, really good at helping me prep and everything. So I couldn't fault them on it at all.
Yeah.
Like what?
Sorry, go ahead. No,
yeah, likewise. I'm just going to say, like, Mark and everything after were very supportive. I think the time that I'd finished my training, the job market just hadn't quite peaked again. So they really did help to keep me current as well, because obviously I need to be current to apply for any of the jobs. So I made sure I kept my MEAR and things up to scratch as well. So they were very supportive and helped me look for jobs as well at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's a massive positive thing about AFTA. Yeah, when I finished, I think I got a phone call. I was kind of, when you'd finish MCC, I was like, oh, I'm going to take 2 weeks now to chill out. It was in the summertime and everything. And I got a phone call, get your CV, get going. Like they were pushing me. So I think it was like 2 days after I finished or something, which, at the time I was saying, oh God, give me a break. But it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. So Nicole, this is kind of getting into the woman in aviation thing now. So what challenges did you face as a woman in the aviation industry, and how did you overcome them, more importantly?
Challenges wise, I don't really think I ever felt like segregated because I was a woman in the industry. Definitely through training and everything, I was treated like as an individual, and any struggles like I had, we dealt with them personally. It wasn't because I was a woman in any aspect. I think the challenge I set on myself was because I was a female. I thought I would always have been treated differently because there was more males, a male dominated industry rather than females. So, but once I learned like training through AFTA and even getting a job, and there were so many other girls as well, that I never felt there really was that massive challenge being a female. I don't know how you girls had felt through training and things like that.
Yeah, I would have the same opinion as you. Definitely, I was never treated any different. And I suppose, as you said, it was a good point that you kind of nearly thought about it. It was in your own head at the start, maybe.
Yeah.
At school, anyway. Yeah, and I suppose parents and stuff like that may have said it to me, beforehand. Or
yeah.
There are many girls in your class, Nicole, or did you do integrated? I can't remember. Sorry.
I did the modular route, but I took on the ATPL class like with the integrated class. So I took a career break whilst I was cabin crew. So there was about 5 or 6 girls in my class at the time. So, and I think even now you're seeing after there's more and more girls. Like I was so shocked, even at my interview day for Emerald, there was 5 girls. The type rating course ahead of me, all girls, there was no guys on it. So like, it's really great to see that the industry's really picking up again. Like, and that females are being recognized just as much as the guys out there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I think it's globally, I Googled it today to make sure, it's 3.4% of us are women globally that are pilots, but in Ireland, I think it's about 10%, which is great to see. And even when I started in AFTA, I was the only girl in my class. I think they were taking on about maybe 4 courses a year then. And there might have been 1 girl per every 3 courses, kind of a thing. Me and Hayley were around the same time. Wouldn't that be true, Hayley, I think?
Yeah, I went to your integrated class for the ATPLs.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a lot
more. And then there was only like another probably 2 rounds of intake.
yeah, out of what was there, maybe was there 100 students there at that point, maybe, or more, and there was kind of, was there 3 or 4 of us knocking around? I think maybe.
Yeah,
Has anyone else
yeah.
kind of like a challenge being a woman in this industry that you can think of?
I wouldn't say challenges per se, but like jokes would probably be an appropriate word. You know, like guys in the integrated classes, like they're just trying to have a joke with you, but
Mhm.
like nothing serious would be like everyone is so willing to help you.
Yeah.
So willing to help to get you to where you need to be. And I find it throughout the entirety of my training, everyone just wants to get you to the goal, to get you to the end.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
great. Ella, anything from you? Maybe at the moment, since you're a student there at the moment? Or anything?
I can't think of anything, but yeah, there's a lot more like girls coming through. There's me and another girl in my class. There's another one just started, so it's nice to see that there is a lot more girls coming into the flight school.
Yeah, cool. So Eva, can you share any advice for maybe any women that's listening to this or tuning in, who are considering a career in aviation? What kind of advice would you give them, or any tips?
I could rhyme off a list, but I'll stick to 3. First thing, if you are considering it, do a voucher flight, go to AFTA or go to your local flying club, because the worst thing you can do is start it, then realize you don't like it. It's a very specific thing that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. I did it and it was the best thing I ever did. I knew straight away, because I was hemming and hawing about it, and I was like, no, I'll go. And straight away I knew. So I did that. Another thing would be research as much as you possibly can. It really does help in the long run. I researched so many different places before I chose AFTA. Like AFTA for me was, okay, it's in Ireland, it suited me better anyway, but the record that they have was just so long already that it just made so much sense. And then the last thing, like everyone kind of, I find that everyone was trying to rush to the end when I was training. Like everyone just wanted to be done.
Yeah,
I don't think that's the right thing to do. Take your time. Don't think that you have to be done in the 18 months, in the 16 months. It took me 2 years, and I'm so glad I took the 2 years. Like I was 20 when I started, and I'm 23 now.
yeah,
And I'm so glad that I took that little bit of extra time, because I feel so much more ready for it now that I'm in an airline, because you're with so many different generations as it is when you go to an airline, that having that little bit more maturity definitely helps. So start your training, but don't rush it. Would definitely be another one.
I definitely agree. That extra year, you know, what's an extra year when you're going to be flying till you're 64? But obviously it's made a big difference to your confidence and your life skills, like that, which is major in this industry.
Big time made a big difference for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe as well for me, I'd say just be more confident and actually enjoy the course.
Love it. I loved my entire 2 years. It was great. The ups and downs of like HPLs they're not fun, but like I had great crack with like in class and stuff, laughing, and you get on really well with the instructors. So like it's okay to not be done straight away.
Yeah, definitely. And the whole thing of having a voucher flight before and doing all the research you can is super important, because unless you're going to really enjoy, you are 100% sure and disciplined and committed to being this job, I can't think of another job. You're being checked every 6 months, you know, airline, you're doing a medical every year, you know, if you line checks every year. There's no other job that you're being checked. Like a sergeant isn't going to have this many checks in their life. So I can imagine if you don't like this job and you're after, you know, jumping into it just for the glamour of it and this kind of stuff, that it would be really, really difficult.
Exactly. That was my big thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. Anybody else have any kind of maybe advice for other females? Anybody? No? Okay, Grant, if you think of it anyway, just, you know, speak whenever you want. We'll go to Ella now. Why did you choose to train as a pilot with AFTA?
So when I started at Ryanair, I always used to talk to all the pilots like, oh, how did you train, just to find out lots of information. And then one day I flew with the same first officer 3 days in a row. So I asked him, I'm like, oh, where did you do your training? And he told me all about it. So I looked into it. I was like, oh, this looks like a possible option. I kind of want to stay with Ryanair as it is because I know what they're like. I love the fixed roster. They've got a base at Manchester. It's perfect for me. So I went to look round, absolutely fell in love with it. And I was like, yes, this looks perfect for me. I can fly home if need be. I'm 55 minutes away on a flight. They're really supportive. Like once I got into AFTA, I started talking to some more pilots like, oh, I'm going to AFTA. And they're like, oh, they're brilliant. Then like, I can't recommend them enough. Like all the new first officers coming into Ryanair, I bet over half of them were from AFTA. And that was just like, yeah, I'm making the right decision doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, they've got a great record of getting people jobs, don't they? Like any people that I talk about that are talking about getting into aviation, like, or even my parents would have been like, oh, it's obviously we all know it costs money, you know, and they're saying, yeah, you're making this big investment, but you're making it without, you know, a job at the end of the day, I suppose, unless you're doing is it the Ryanair mentored program? Are you doing that, Ella?
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Yeah. So it's great to know that your flight school is going to push you on, and they've got great credentials in the aviation industry that once you do good in your course, that, you know, you've got a great chance of getting a job. Yeah. Right. Anybody else want to add in maybe something Ella mightn't have talked about during that, about why they chose it, anything different?
Well, obviously Ella had loads of experience like working for Ryanair, whereas like I had no experience at all in aviation. Like it was a very late love for me. So I found everything out through constant like internet. And then I actually booked to go to one of AFTA's shows that they do around the country and that. So I actually went to Waterford, and that was great because you got to speak to the instructors and you got to speak to the likes of HR and everybody there, and they just really encourage you and show you exactly what you're going to be doing and what you need to do it. So them kind of things are really good that I have to do to help you get there as well. Yeah,
definitely. And I think it's important as well. Completely agree with everyone, but you're not a number, you know, in AFTA. Everyone knows each other by name, and even the instructors, you know, obviously since I've been in AFTA, the place has, you know, exploded more. It probably doubled or tripled in student numbers, but all the instructors and Mark Casey and everyone there, they know you personally by name, and they are giving you every resource you can to do as good as you can and helping you out in every way possible. It's a real kind of team, open environment there, which I think in other flight schools, you mightn't get that kind of, you know, treatment. It's nearly like you're being private schooled kind of thing in a flight school.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Great.
Yeah, I even think as a modular student as well, AFTA were so good because I was working full time at the time at BA being cabin crew. So I only had like a set roster. So they were able to fit me in on my days off or when I had annual leave and things like that. And I think that's why I chose AFTA, because they were really willing to work with me as well, so I could achieve my dream over a different period of time rather than the 16 to 18 months.
Yeah, that's super. That's a great point as well. And Hayley, you were modular as well, so you probably felt like that.
Yeah, they really do. I think if you're willing to put in the work, like they will 100% make sure that you get the flights done within the certain period. Like I even remember when I was doing my IR bank loan, I had to have my IR finished before the 18. There was just no room for error because the payments were huge. So I had to pay it off, and they had me on like the week every single day to get the flights done. And like you were saying a while ago, Catherine, even afterwards and the preparation they put in with you, the interview prep and the people who they know are prep and to go through star format and to go through I think they're second to none. And having looked at other schools for the second half of my training, and like I just didn't think anybody else compared.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. Great. So Hayley, Back to you again. How have you seen the role of women in aviation change and evolve over the course of the years you've been involved in aviation?
I would say the role itself, you know, you're still a first officer, obviously going whatever, but so the role is the same. It's definitely becoming more common and more female pilots, which I think is like, it's really important. I remember growing up, first of all, how to like a big secret in my eyes. I just had no, and then second of all, if you did see a pilot, or in my case, growing up 10 times out of 10, it was. So I think as girls, if you pilots, it kind of seems like a dream that are almost kind of like a job that you're not meant. It's kind of always like the male figure where there's women pilots, kind of EasyJet run a great campaign, Aer Lingus have started AFTA, even the work that AFTA do with regarding like they don't forget to put the girls, the fact that women can be pilots too. It's really important to kind of just show, and not even just young girls, but girls in general who haven't that, you know, there are female pilots out there with men as other people make you think us in the job.
Yeah, definitely. Unless you see it, it's not going to be, you're not going to be made aware of it. I suppose like in school, if you go to the guidance counselor, or is that what they're called, guidance counselors, already being a pilot is such an uncommon thing. I don't know, my guidance counselor never spoke to it. Obviously it's not on your CAO form and all this kind of thing, so it's something completely alien to people you know, that don't have anyone in aviation in their family or, you know, around them. And then being a woman in aviation is just, you know, another level. So unless you do see it, you're not exposed to it, I suppose, or we wouldn't have been, but as time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Great. Okay, so Nicole, then what are some opportunities for women in the aviation industry?
I think there is lots of more opportunities now for women, whether it's cabin crew, air traffic control, working on the ground as ground staff or ramp agents, and even working in those parts of the industry for some time to build experience before, maybe if you wanted to do it the modular route before, you know, gaining the route to becoming a pilot. So there's loads of opportunities, and even once you're in the role in the airline as well, like yourself, Catherine, like you're doing synthetic flight instructor, like getting involved in safety, helping people through their type rating courses. There's so many opportunities that you can develop in the role, which I love about working for an airline. Like I don't have to just fly an airplane every day, and especially as girls, you know, if you want to have a family one day and we need a ground job, it's always good to have that, you know, maybe something behind us as well to get involved, like the flight instructor, involved in safety and things like that, so we can still keep the salary coming in if we want a family, and then we can go back to the flying again once we've decided we're ready to go back.
Exactly. Like within Ryanair, and I'm sure all your airlines as well, you can go into head office and apply for these kind of roles, like as you said, in the safety department or working for flight ops and stuff like that. And there's also an opportunity in there if you want to work your kind of 9 to 5 job 5 days a week with your weekends off also, which is really important, I suppose, if that's your ideal, you know, route, if you want to have a family, if you think that's going to, you know, out and be positive.
Okay.
There's just so many different things you can do. Everyone just thinks it's captain and first officer, co-pilot, and that's it. But there's such an array and a variety of things. And especially as well, like we're all quite, I suppose, young in this webinar. It's the type of job you can just move into different areas continuously, continually challenge yourself, continually upskill yourself. Yeah, I don't know if you feel like that.
Definitely. Like there's so many ways that we can keep going and keep building. Like we don't have to stay as, okay, we go to work and we fly every day. There's so many different ways that we can still be a part of it and do different parts within it. Like just to expand our own knowledge and expand our own skill sets, really, to help us through the rest of the time that we're here.
Yeah, exactly. And suppose if you're, you know, well, I'm not saying your life goal, but if you wanted to have kids as part of, you know, your goals in life, it's also important. Some airlines, you can't fly, you know, while you're pregnant and stuff. But you can still go into head office and you can do your 9 to 5 bit, keep the salary coming in to, you know, keep your own independence. And you know, everything, all you've invested into flying, it's, you know, a pity to be kind of grounded for whatever, however long it takes to have a child and all that. I haven't done any research into that yet, but you know what I mean. So yeah. Great. Fantastic. Anyone have anything to add to that, maybe? Or no? Grant. Okay. So Ella, how can we encourage more women to get to pursue careers in aviation?
I think it's just like broadcasting that there's more women actually in it than you think, and you can do whatever you want to do. Like if you put your mind to it, you'll get there. Like it is, you could say it was a male dominated industry like X amount of years ago, but now it's opening up so much, and like whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. Like you shouldn't let that like put you off, kind of thing.
Yeah, completely. And I think as women as well, well, this is a little bit stereotypical, but I suppose for me myself, you know, I can be a little bit of an overthinker and be overly critical on myself, and I feel like sometimes men aren't like that. They've got this, you know, real overconfidence, whether they're really are overconfident or they're playing it up a bit. And yeah, it's, you know, you're as good as them and as capable as them, and we all know we are, because we're all sitting here on this webinar and we have experience in it. So it's also super important to remember that. Yeah. Anything else from anyone, like any advice or encouragement?
I really think, like, I know it's opening up so much, but as I said before, like I was a late lover of it, and it's something I just kind of stumbled upon nearly. But like I feel like it's nothing, like when I was going through secondary school, you never heard of it, you never seen anybody talk about aviation at all in general. And like you go to all these career days when you're coming into your last years at school, and there's never anything about it. So even if we could try and start kind of getting in earlier and earlier into their teams and stuff, and showing them what you could do, like I really think that would help a lot as well. Because as you said, like everyone is as capable as each other to do it. It's just getting in there and setting the idea earlier in their heads.
Completely. And, you know, being realistic about what it does take to be a pilot. You know, some people think you need this massive high level of intelligence and you have to have 600 points in your leaving cert and all this kind of stuff. Well, I'm just speaking for myself. I'm definitely not a 600 pointer girl. I'm of average intelligence, if even, you know. And I suppose do you agree, it's mostly hard work and really persevering.
Definitely.
And yeah,
like I didn't do honors maths or physics for my leaving cert. I didn't do science at all for my leaving cert. So the fact that I got here with like normal points and everything else is like, everyone's capable of doing it. You just have to put your mind to it.
Yeah, completely. Great. So Eva, what are some of the most rewarding aspects of your career?
Oh, I love so much of it. Reward wise, like I moved to Copenhagen for my job that I got. So travel is obviously the first and foremost one. Like I work away most times during the week, so I spend a lot of time up in Norway or down in Germany, and the things you see when you're up at 35,000 feet when you're at the front seat, it's insane. All the fjords up in Norway are unreal. So traveling and seeing all them beautiful things is unbelievable. Another thing that I love about it is the roster, the fixed roster, 5 days on, 4 days off. You can't beat it. It's so easy, and I get the chance to go home so much. Like I come home once a month. It's brilliant.
Easy.
Like having a bank
easy every week.
Exactly. It's unbelievable. It's great.
And it's fixed as well. Like we can, in 3 years' time, I know if I'm going to be off on the August bank holiday weekend, or you know, it's
like I'm sitting there kind of going through, okay, I'm going to be off here, I'm going to be off then. It's so easy to do it, and it's great, and they're so helpful as well in like terms of if you need that day off or if you need that time off. It's so easy. Another thing would be like your work stays at work, so it's not like an office job where, oh, I'll take the laptop home and I'll do this. There's none of that. You do your work and you come home from work, and that's it.
Yeah. Or an airplane, walk out and you're just, that's it. Yeah. Very true. Yeah. Anyone else Because I'm sure there's many.
I
No?
think just like the roster patterns as well. You can plan a girls' weekend for like several weeks in advance, you know, because you know when you're off, things like that. So, and that's quite nice, and the travel as well. And just sort of the security, job security as well. Now I think the airlines are really, you know, getting competitive again as well. And there's loads of jobs out there, which is really good.
True. And the whole challenge and upskilling, and like we talked about before, the different departments you can get into, you know, this new job I'm doing in the training department, I feel like it's really helped me develop like better people skills and stuff like that, and technology and all that good stuff. Hayley, anything from you with Aer Lingus? Can you hear me, Hayley? Sorry.
Sorry, what did you say?
No, just anything, what was the question?
Hello.
A rewarding aspect in your career with Aer Lingus, maybe. Yeah. I know we've mentioned a lot, but
there's been a lot. Like everything's and everything. But I think the biggest thing to me is definitely doing the transatlantic route, and the mix between doing your own week and month where I go to the States is definitely quite surreal to land in Boston and to think like, oh God, Atlantic Ocean. It's it's kind of like I was in New York the week before the lights and everything, and I was just standing and I'm paid to be here, like it's, but in the best way possible. Just kind of being grateful to have that you wouldn't necessarily have in others. Something that I'm really, and also as of recently involved myself and a couple of other of the female pilots trying to get into schools to do career talks, little project already, to jump on board and do those sort of things, and younger people the industry, but to show them that it's there if they're interested, to answer questions that I would have had when I was younger to answer for me.
great. Fantastic. Nice. I think you've kind of, the next question was to share any memorable experiences for you, Hayley, but I suppose you kind of talked about the New York one. So Eva, what skills do you think are most important for a successful career in aviation?
Again, there's so many different ones that are helpful. Top ones would be communication skills are your number one best friend. You need to be able to speak up. You need to be able to talk to people and say what's going on. Because when you're sitting in a cockpit and two of you are looking straight forward, you aren't looking at each other. So you need to be able to say if you see something. There's no point in being quiet. Being able to work as a team is another one.
Yeah.
Being able to go into, if you're going in for your training flight at ops down in Cork, you could walk in, there'd be 10 people there, so being able to go in and say hello or how are you getting on, like it's very easy to kind of small things like that help build up your skills there. Teamwork wise, you need to be able to deal with different people all the time, ground people and your cabin crew and everything else. You need to be able to work together to stay on schedule or to get through a day if there's something going wrong or anything else. Other things, situational awareness. I don't know if everybody on the call like knows what that is. So being able to kind of look at everything at once and constantly being able to do that.
Yeah.
That's something I'm still working on, so don't worry.
It's something everyone can work on forever. I think it's something that's evolving, and it's massive in grading and stuff in the airlines.
Exactly. So just being able to kind of watch different things, and like a thing that I did to do that was driving the car. Like it's a great example of situational awareness, being able to kind of look everywhere at once. So things like that there are really helpful. It helps to be able to kind of listen well as well. Like you need to be able to listen to people and tell them and be able to hear what they're saying to you if you need to work on something, or if there's something that you could go over to help yourself for the next time. You need to be able to take that kind of criticism as well to help you get through the training. It's a big help.
Yeah, completely. Many points there. I suppose discipline as well is a really a good one, because I suppose when I started work for Ryanair, I was 22, like 22 years old, everyone's out on a Saturday night, you're getting the Snapchats, the Instagram posts, and you're going to bed at 8 o'clock to be up again at 4 to do your shift. So it is an extremely disciplined job, and it's not a job like you don't go to work when you're a bit hungover, you don't go to work if you're a bit sick and all this kind of stuff. Like, it is very responsible and very disciplined as well. Would you agree with me with that?
Definitely. You need to be able to say yes and no. You can't. There's no in between, really.
Especially.
Yeah. Sorry, Hayley, did you say something there? Especially something we didn't get you.
Oh, just look, if you're considering, I started flying around 6. I think if you're considering a career at that age, you need to realize what you're giving up with the career at that age, because I agree, like, we didn't have normal early 20s. There was no, even like from no mad college nights out, there's no Friday drinking until all hours, or kind of want to go for a weekend away with your boyfriend. Like, that's up to you. You get your roster, you go to work, you go out, or they might go on a girls' holiday, or if you're working, and there's no kind of,
there's no need
to just be disciplined enough to show up and to sacrifice slowly. Like, you can have social occasions too, but your life doesn't dictate your roster, your life.
Yeah, I completely agree. Fantastic. So last question then for Nicole. How do you envision the future of women in aviation? It's a big one.
The big one. Yeah, I think the industry is starting to thrive with more and more women in the industry now, whether that's pilots, cabin crew, air traffic controllers. Like, I know even at work at the moment, you can hear female ATC. There's more and more of them. I'm sure you girls have noticed as well. Like, there's so much more women out there, and I think in the next few years, it's for us guys to inspire them and encourage more women from a very young age to get involved in aviation, and it's a career for everyone.
Yeah. Great. Okay, anyone have anything else they want to add to that question maybe, or shall we hand it over to Jenna? Everyone happy enough? Okay, great. So Jenna, if you want to get going with your presentation.
Absolutely. Hi everybody, and thank you to all the panelists here tonight for that great discussion. My name is Jenny Eustace, and I'm with the marketing department at the Atlantic Flight Training Academy. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview. As the ladies mentioned earlier in the presentation, they've all trained at AFTA. So I just wanted to give you a quick overview of AFTA, what we're all about. And I'll run through it really quickly, and then we will get back to our Q&A so that you can ask the lovely panelists any questions that you have remaining. Okay, so I'll run through this really quickly, as I said, and we'll get back to the Q&A. So I'm just going to share my screen quickly. Can you see that? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so like I said, we're the Atlantic Flight Training Academy, and I'll just start this off with just a short video of the Atlantic Flight Training Academy so you can see some of our facilities.
Start your journey today with Atlantic Flight Training Academy. Choose a career where you are in control. Apply now.
Okay, so the Atlantic Flight Training Academy was founded in '95 by our CEO and head of training, who's Captain Mark Casey. He's actually here this evening as well. So if you have any questions for him for later on, we can direct some there as well. We're an approved EASA training organisation. We've got 42 instructors, probably about 150 students currently enrolled, and we produce about 50 to 70 graduates every year. from the Atlantic Flight Training Academy, fully trained pilots. We have a large modern fleet of single engine and twin engine aircraft, and we also have a number of simulators here at the Atlantic Flight Training Academy. We're based in Cork International Airport. For those of you who aren't in the country, we're right down the southwest coast of Ireland. We have, like I said, we're in the international airport, which gives our cadets great exposure to real life life as a pilot. In our facilities here at Cork Airport, we also have our academy. That's where we do all our ground school, where Ella is going to spend a lot of time now doing her ATPLs, and we all wish her the best of luck. So we have 4 classrooms here, and then we also have our ramp where we have our maintenance hangars. We have parking for 18 aircraft. We have our own like fueling facilities, briefing rooms, simulators, everything down here. What's great about this is that we have our own maintenance hangars and fueling facilities, so we can get all those jobs done quite quickly, and we're not delaying anyone's training because of aircraft maintenance or anything like that. We have it all here on site. So we just get to be the most, we try to be the most efficient when dealing with pilots and their airline training. We also have a second base down in Waterford Regional Airport. This is where we do a lot of our circuit trainings, because it's a bit of a quieter airport, which means we get to kind of do a lot of circuits in a short amount of time, which is really beneficial for our cadets when they're doing their circuit training. Down in Waterford as well, we also have our classrooms set up down there. And as you can see from the photographs, they look right out over the runway. So our cadets are really immersed in airline and aviation life while they're down here in Waterford and Cork. Like I said, we have a large fleet of aircraft. We have our fleet of Cessna 172s. We have our Diamond DA-42s, they're our twin engine. We have a few Piper Senecas left, but we're actually moving away from the Seneca for something more fuel efficient. We're having a big push towards fuel efficiency here at AFTA, and just an overall kind of a more green approach to commercial pilot training. And lastly, we have our Slingsby T67, which is what we use for our aerobatics and our upset prevention training recovery. We also have a number of simulators. This is our fixed base simulator. It's our Boeing 737. It's what a lot of our cadets do their APS MCC training on at the very, very end of their training. And we do have a partnership, a strong partnership with Ryanair, which I'll discuss a little bit later. So this is very beneficial for the cadets before they head on to Ryanair, because they have first-hand experience with the aircraft already. We also have 2 Diamond DA-42 simulators and our Piper Seneca simulators based out of Cork as well. Just to give you a little idea of who you'd be dealing with if you were to come to AFTA, here's the lineup. So we have Captain Mark Casey, who is our CEO and head of training. We have Captain Jerry Humphreys, our deputy head of training. Captain Dan Lynch, who is our chief flight instructor. Captain Philip Smythe, our safety manager. That's me, I'm in sales and marketing. And then we have Kyle Johnston as well, our training and compliance manager. So just to give you a little bit of background, this is Mark Casey, our CEO and head of training, as I said, and also the founder of AFTA. So Mark is really the lifeblood here at the Atlantic Flight Training Academy. You can see here that there's quite a lot of achievements and qualifications here. Mark has worked both corporate and commercial jets. He's an EASA senior flight examiner. And so on. We also have Captain Jerry Humphreys, who is our deputy head of training. Jerry, as you can see from the very cool photo on the left, was a Harrier pilot. He was in the Royal Air Force, and he has more than 50 years of aviation experience. Again, you can see all of his qualifications here on the right. This is Daniel Lynch, our chief flight instructor. He's over 20 years of aviation experience. He is a former corporate jet pilot as well. So Dan is, if you come to train here at AFTA, Dan is somebody you'll get to know very well, as he'll help you to lead your training. Then we also have Captain Philip Smythe, our safety manager. He keeps everything running safely here at AFTA. He's an internal auditor. He's our senior flight instructor. He's an examiner and also a former commercial pilot. And then lastly, we have our compliance manager, who's Captain Kyle Johnston. Again, you can see all these qualifications on the right. If you were to come and train at AFTA, you can see you'd be in very good company from instructors with a massive range of different backgrounds. Here at AFTA, we do both fully integrated programs and modular training. With our fully integrated program, we have two partners, which we're very proud of. That's our Ryanair mentored program and also our Globair mentored program. What that means basically is if you were to train under either of those programs, you would have a more direct pathway into employment with that airline at the end of your training, okay? Ryanair is our longest partnership that we have, and as you can see, it's a very attractive airline to work for. They have 92 bases connecting over 200 destinations in 40 countries and over 2,400 daily flights. So as you can imagine, we're very proud to have a partnership with Ryanair and to be able to help our cadets to get into Ryanair. Here's just an idea of what training for Ryanair looks like, and some pictures of our cadets who have been there and done that. And lastly, we have just gotten 119 cadets into Ryanair in the last 24 months. So yeah, we're very proud of our partnership with Ryanair, and it's a very strong relationship that we look forward to working with into the future. And then, as I mentioned, we also have a partnership. This is actually a brand new partnership we have with Globair. Globair is Europe's #1 private jet charter company. So if flying celebrities and going to all these different places around the world is something that excites you, and if you're adventurous, Globair is probably a great opportunity for you to explore as well. Just some benefits of training here at AFTA. All the training is completed here in Ireland, which means you get some real weather training for sure. You get to experience all different types of weather, which really puts you in a great position when you're going forward for an airline. That's some of the feedback that we've gotten back from the airlines in the past, is that AFTA cadets are pretty much prepared for anything that the weather can throw at them. We also have one of the youngest, most modern fleets in all of Europe. As I just went through there a minute ago, we have experienced and dedicated instructors from a massive range of different backgrounds. Our on-site aircraft maintenance facilities, just as I mentioned earlier, it helps us to turn out the training a lot quicker. We're not waiting. If an aircraft needs maintenance, we're not waiting for a part that the plane doesn't have to go to a different country to get different types of maintenance, and then we're left without the aircraft for weeks on end. If something goes wrong with the aircraft, we actually fix it here in-house, which just makes everything a lot more smooth and a lot more easy. As I mentioned, you get real weather training. You also have the benefit of the graduate development program. As the panelists mentioned earlier, AFTA don't just train you and then say, okay, bye, thanks for coming here. We stick with you until you get your first airline job. We will support you in any way we can. We will help you with interview preparation. We'll help you with simulator preparation. We will put your name forward in airlines when we get the opportunity, and we'll help you basically in any way we can to get you your first job. And I think all the panelists on this call would agree with that, that we're behind you every step of the way. If you want to come to AFTA and maybe explore your options training here, here's some of the first steps you can take. So you can book what we call a show through, which is basically a complimentary visit. Come in and visit us, get to know us a little bit better. We'll do a one-on-one meeting. You'll get to meet the instructors, you get to see the fleet, you get to just understand what AFTA is like and immerse yourself in it for a couple of hours so that you can really make an informed decision about your training. As the ladies mentioned earlier, one of the best things you can do if you want to get into this industry is to take an introductory flight, get up into the aircraft, make sure you like the feeling of it, and like a lot of people, if that's the first time you've been in an aircraft, you may be bitten by the bug and you'll be absolutely obsessed from there on in. And then finally, you need to obtain a Class 1 medical. So that's basically the medical exam that every pilot needs to undergo to ensure that they have the capacity to become a pilot health-wise. So those are kind of the first steps in becoming an AFTA trained pilot. We do have a 3-step assessment process. If you're joining one of our integrated programs or our Ryanair or Globair mentored program, you do need to do an online aptitude test, an interview, and a simulator assessment with us here at AFTA. If anybody is interested, I can send you a rundown of the information and some preparation resources so that you can practice for some of these assessments. If you're interested in getting that information, just pop your email address into the chat box and I can send that to you straight away. And then finally, the last thing I'm going to talk to you about is our partnership with Munster University, Munster Technological University, or MTU. We have a degree program with MTU, which is a Bachelor of Science degree in Global Business and Pilot Studies. And what that basically is both your degree and your pilot's license in one. So the program takes 4 years and you'll finish with both a Bachelor of Science degree and you'll be a fully qualified pilot by the end of it. Now, to do that, you go through the CAO application. And again, if anyone would like any more information or help on any of that, you can just pop your email address in the chat box and I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that as well. Okay, so that's everything from me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'll pass you back to our lovely panelists and we can start our Q&A session from there. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to just type them into the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself. I'm just going to give you permission to unmute yourselves and you can just shout out the questions here and one of our panelists will be happy to answer your questions.
Jenna, do you just mind to put my video back?
Oh, yeah.
Not letting me do it here.
Yeah, you can try now. There we go.
Thanks. Okay, so there's loads of questions coming in the chat box here, so I'll just go through a few. So first question, hi there, roughly what is the total cost to become a fully qualified pilot? Thank you.
I can probably take that one for AFTA. So our integrated programs, they start at 82,500. Now that can also, so that's one of our integrated programs, but you can also train the modular route, which allows you to spread the cost of the training out over, instead of 18 months, out over a longer time span. But that is the starting price at the moment.
Okay, great. Okay, someone else. I'm about to join an airline as a pilot. My question is, upon entering the airline, what was the biggest challenge of any kind you faced? Who would like to take that one?
I don't think there was any challenge per se. I think that initial fear of or not even fear, that nervousness of starting a new job is always going to be there. But you've done your training, you are qualified, go in as if it's your first day when you were back training. Everyone's going to be in the same boat. You'll be fine. There's really nothing to worry about. Everyone is 99% of the time lovely and very willing to help.
Yeah, completely. I suppose the type rating would have been the most challenging bit of it for me.
Yeah, it's hard work. If you put your head down and get through it, it tends to be okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's intense, isn't it? You kind of have to shut your life off and do what you got to do for your whatever 2 or 3 months of the type rating, and then the benefits totally outweigh it. But it is, intense.
Intense.
Yeah, great. Okay. Right. What else do we have here? Have you ever had a boyfriend, relative, or friend make fun of you for wanting to be a pilot, or that someone told you it's very difficult for being a woman? Anybody?
Yeah, but like,
I've
in
had
family.
my parents question my parents would have questioned my career choice, actually started training, if that makes sense. Fun of me now, but they would have been, I suppose, the idea of their teenage drawing into an industry that's male dominated. I think we kind of hashed that out in total at the start of the webinar, is that other people have, because they don't. In reality, it's actually a very equal kind of opportunity place for women. Actually, any reason for anybody to be going into aviation, because we're treated exactly the same as the boys, and we're not treated any different. Thing that goes on behind the scenes that some people make, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. Within the industry, like itself, and people that you work with, you'd never, well, I've never got, you know, kind of insult or someone making fun of me. But yeah, I remember as well, my parents were the big one for me. Yeah, I remember when I said to my dad I wanted to do it, the first thing he said is, you know, a countryman, was who's going to mind your kids and all this kind of stuff. Obviously he's very proud now, and he sees there's so many different, you know, job prospects in aviation and different ways of going through it, and, you know, rosters and everything. But I think people have a different image, that it's a very kind of unsettled industry and, you know, kind of strange way of life. But yeah, obviously educated a lot of our relatives on that.
I think it's important. Yeah, I think it's important to not those fears about your decision based on what you want, and be it the fact that they're worried about life might be like, or if they're like making fun of you or anything, leave that deter you from following your life, and ultimately
you're in control of your own life, and you make your decisions once you're going to work hard, and you can make it happen. Yeah, great. Okay, in general, what do you find is the hardest thing as a female pilot? So maybe Nicole, do you want to answer that one? Any ideas? Or is it kind of...
I don't think I've ever had any difficulties because I was female. There's been difficulties along the way through training and in the job itself. You know, every day is a challenging job, whether that's the weather you have to cope with, maybe delays, technical issues, but you work as a team with the males on board as well, and try and resolve those together. I've never faced it as a woman or as an individual myself. Like we've always worked as a team together, you know, to solve those.
Yeah, you haven't had any other challenges that a male wouldn't have had, is what you're trying to say. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, fantastic. What's going on here? So is there a height restriction for being a pilot?
I think some airlines require it, but as long as you can sort of reach the rudder pedals and adjust the seat. But okay. I think the requirements are very small. Like I think it's like 5 foot.
Yeah, even below 5 foot kind of thing. I've never heard.
Like I'm very small for a girl. I'm like 5'4", so I can manage fine. So although my seat's probably quite high and my pedals right at the front,
like in at your mouth, yeah.
But we can adjust the rudders and adjust all these positions. Great. Is there accommodation available for training pilots near AFTA?
Yep, so we have a student liaison officer here at AFTA who can help you to find accommodation throughout your training here at AFTA. So we haven't seen anyone homeless yet, and we don't plan on. So yeah, we can definitely help you out in that department for sure.
Great. What are the entry requirements if you do a degree first?
If you do a degree before you come to train with us at AFTA, the assessment and requirements process is pretty much exactly the same. So we'll still do that 3-step assessment process with you. So that would be your online aptitude test, your interview, and your simulator assessment. And besides that, that's what we basically base your assessment on, requirements wise and assessment wise. So yeah, that they will be the same for anyone who wanted to join the integrated programs, for sure.
So once you have a degree, if you do have a degree or don't have one, you're treated exactly the same.
Exactly, yeah. When it comes to assessment here at AFTA, for sure.
Great. Is the instrument rating mandatory?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to fly to use our instruments continuously, so yes is the answer. Is there any necessary qualities as a person to become a good pilot?
I think they want someone with good determination and things like that. I want to see that you can work hard, because the training is difficult as well, and even once you get into the airlines, there's lots of challenges through it, so they want someone who's good determination.
Yeah, that's massive. And Ava, you mentioned a lot of them during one of the questions earlier about communication.
Yeah, like communication and team skills and all them things are pretty necessary to become a pilot. You need to learn them.
Yeah. Life experience and previous jobs as well. Even a takeaway and petrol station and stuff like that before going to AFTA, and I need to say, working in that takeaway at 2 o'clock in the morning with drunk people coming in and all
patience is learned.
Yeah, best job I had to get me kind of people skills and managing people around me, so every bit of experience counts. Yeah, perfect. I already have an Italian class 1 medical. Do I need to do another one in Ireland, or is it valid?
So because Italy is in the European Union, that would be an EASA class 1 medical, which is what's required to train here at AFTA. So you would actually it's a very simple transfer process from the Italian authority to the Irish authority. So now that you have your class 1 medical, you wouldn't need to redo one. You just have to transfer your current one.
Great. Is it okay if you wear glasses? Yeah. You don't need 20/20 vision. Once you're, what's the right way of saying this? Once your eyes can be corrected to 20/20 vision with your lens, you can wear contact lenses.
You can. You just have to have a spare pair of glasses with you. So if you wear a pair of glasses, you need to have a spare pair in your flight bag.
With you in your bag.
Yeah, you need to have 2 pairs with you at all times. Yeah, and it's just a little limitation that's written on your license. I'm 90% sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
But yeah, perfectly fine to wear glasses.
Yeah.
Does the flight school provide any financial support?
So currently all of our courses are self-funded, and there's not really a standard way of obtaining the finance, but we do recommend that people try to obtain a bank loan or a credit union loan. And once they pass assessment with us at AFTA, we can provide letters to show that you have been accepted into AFTA and how much the course costs, which can then help you with your case with the bank or the credit union in obtaining the funds that are required.
Yeah, that's really important as well, because if you don't go in with that proof, it can kind of hinder you getting that loan. I remember getting that myself. Another good one here. What's the retirement age for being a pilot? I'm currently 38 and I am wondering, by the time I qualify, would I only have a couple of years flying?
So Mark has actually answered that question in the comments, so I'm just going to read that, because I think you have the best idea. So the current retirement age is 65, which in the next 5 years, EASA are moving towards a medical-based license with no age limitations. This means that pilots can continue to work for European airlines as long as they can pass a medical. This will remove the current retirement age of 65. So that's good news.
Yeah, fantastic.
Good.
Great. If you have a PPL already, can you still do the fully integrated program?
Absolutely. If you come to us with a PPL, we will be able to credit you a portion of that PPL and give you some of a reduction onto your integrated course as well, because you will have already done a portion of the training. And it means as well that if you come to us with your PPL, you can do the training probably in less time. So given you stay on top of your exams and on top of all the training, you could probably complete it maybe 2 months earlier than the usual 18-month period, for sure.
Great to know. There's another person here and she's doing her PPL at the moment and hoping to do her ATPLs at some point in the future. And she's questioning whether to stick with her plan at the moment or, to save money and go into the integrated program. Those are Ryanair, but AFTA.
Yeah, it's a good question, and it really depends on how quickly you want to get your training done. If you are really adamant on getting flying soon and returning your investment soon, I would recommend the integrated program because you get to finish it that little bit faster. And when you have a direct path and you're in a class that are all moving together, you will be able to complete the program a little bit faster than if you were to take the modular route. So if that's something you're able to do and save up the money to put into an integrated course, that is what I would recommend you do at this current time for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So how challenging is the maths or physics side of the training? That's a really a question we get all the time. Do you agree? Yeah. So,
I didn't do maths and physics. I was terrible at it and I got through it fine. I actually bought books. There's books you can get like maths and physics for pilots basically. I got them before I even started and they were actually a really good help. Just basic knowledge does make a difference, but you only need basic.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the next question, do you need honours maths from leaving certificate? Absolutely not. No way. Great. Is there a graduation after completing the course or do you just get a certificate? So yes, there's a graduation and it's very, very good. It's a great day. Yeah, we did it. Rochestown Park Hotel. Is it still there? Is that still where you do it?
Yeah, that's where we did it last year as well. Yeah,
and it was a really good day, and to have your family with you and kind of celebrate all the hard work that you put in is really, really good. And we had loads of speakers from Ryanair and different airlines, and loads of people giving us advice and all this good stuff, and a meal and a band. So it was really good, and really good to get back with the people that you did flight school with and celebrate, I suppose. Okay. So what were the most challenging aspects or parts of your journey? Anyone want to answer that? So Ella, want to talk about
getting through.
Yeah.
And it's not even like they're not like if you study for them, you'll get through them. But I think it's because you're stuck in a classroom and you're trying to study. I think it's 13 subjects now. I think it's not 14 anymore, it's 13 subjects. And you're trying to get through them all. And it's a lot of work, but it is worth it in the end. But you have to have that dedication and discipline. Okay, I need to sit down and do this now. And it does be worth it at the end.
Yeah, I think it's the volume of information you need to learn in the short amount of time, which was the most. Yeah, it wasn't that it's absolute rocket science, maths or physics or anything like that. It's just the absolute volume. I remember someone in AFTA telling me at the start, it's a 4 or 5 year degree, like you do in university, and it's put into an integrated course for 16 to 18 months. And I was kind of like, yeah, as if, but yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of work. But as you said, like, if I can do it, anyone can do it, not to be, you know. Do you need honours English from leaving certificate? No, absolutely not. We do a, what's it called, English language
Proficiency test.
yeah. And once you do that once and get, you know, is it level 6 is the highest?
Yeah, you need a 4 to pass it. So as long as you get a 4, you're fine.
Yeah, once you get a level 4, you never have to do an assessment again. And it's basic English, isn't it? It's not kind of any Shakespearean big words or anything like that. It's a chat, like we'd be chatting today. Perfect. So there's someone here. I would really appreciate to receive an answer to my question regarding gynecology risks. I can't ask any male pilot that, so let me see what that question was, because I've obviously missed that one. So which are the medical risks of the job from a gynecologist? Sorry, that word is a big word for me. Can anyone say gynecology? Sorry, okay. Gynecological perspective.
What are the
sorry. Medical risks?
Gynecological. There's none.
There's none that I know of.
Same.
You have to. You can only get pregnant. The only friend who's a female pilot who is going through that. So, from a gynecologist, a female health person, like your female health deteriorate at any more of a rapid normal woman in a normal job who's aging at the same rate. But to get pregnant, you can be put on a managed roster because obviously like 1 week at the month. So well, in the airline that she's in anyway, you're put on a make sure that you're at home so that you could carry a baby and you're still able to, or not that put at any more risk.
Okay.
From what I've heard.
Yeah. Aer Lingus kind of caters for it, is what you mean, is it? A little bit. You can kind of pick your roster.
Yeah.
Good.
Even from the girls being cabin crew, you get pregnant and you don't have any.
Great.
Cool. Okay. And there's one more question here. So what's the most difficult task you face within your training or job, and how do you deal with it? Kind of answered bits of this already, but does anyone have anything to add?
I think kind of when I was doing my type rate and I did my sims all in December, I think the hardest part for me was like the failure management kind of side of things, because they want you to do it in a certain way. So every company nearly has their own different way of doing it. So like I was taught a certain way when I was in AFTA, like as part of my MCC course, but then the company, when I went to CityJet, they did it slightly different. So that was probably the hardest part for me, was trying to kind of change it to their liking and do it the way that they want it done.
Yeah.
Apart from that,
and if you were to move to, let's say, Aer Lingus or Ryanair, you'd have to learn a completely new set of standard procedures as well, which can be very difficult because like in the training department now, I could be training someone that has come from, let's say, CityJet, and it's very hard to kind of forget what's engraved in you and move on to a different set of procedures.
Yeah, because it's literally drilled into you from the get-go.
Yeah.
So you're relearning.
Kind of forget about all those calls and learn a complete new set, even though they're like speaking, you know, fluently. It's like a fluent kind of flow. Yeah. But loads of people, everyone gets through it when they do, but obviously it's difficult. Yeah. Perfect. What time are we at?
Yeah.
So will we answer one or two more maybe, Jenna?
Yeah. Yeah, we could maybe take the last two there and then we'll wrap it up from there. And if anybody has any last questions that they didn't get answered today, I'm just going to pop my email address into the chat box. So if you didn't get your question answered, you can fire them over to me and we can have a chat about it later. Okay.
Fantastic. So the last two I have here are, did you recommend joining a flying club? So I'm not part of a flying club myself, so I'm not sure if anyone, is anyone?
I
No?
was at the start of training. I did a bit of flying out of the flying club, but I think I preferred to going to a flight school because from a flying club, I learned lots of bad habits when I was off flying myself, where when I went go to a flight school, it was really drilled into you how the airlines want you to perform. So those SOPs like we discussed and things like that.
Yeah, a flying club is more kind of, you know, to get a feel of it, I suppose, and see if you actually are interested in it. And it's kind of like a leisurely, fun day out. Not to say, obviously, the training is not fun, but it's directed to make you professional and, you know, actually really teach you really good things in AFTA when you are enrolled in there. So, and the last question then. So, hi again, Catherine. I would like to check an information I recently came across regarding airline companies and their hiring policy. It seems that they do not hire cadets with a frozen ATPL after the age of 32. Is this information true?
No, it shouldn't be.
I've never
Like,
heard of that.
No. And like we've had people finishing after that are in their late 30s. So
yeah, there
it
was
shouldn't
a
be.
guy with me and he was, I think he was maybe 50. Like there's doesn't seem to be any age limit or anything like that. And from your experience, what have you witnessed on the age matter? How difficult would you say it would be to land that precious first job within an airline as a junior first officer, should you happen to be above 35 years by the time you finish school? In my opinion, I've seen loads of people over 35 got jobs and walked in just like any of us. And sometimes airlines obviously love that whole life experience I was talking about. You've many skills that maybe someone that would have directly came out of, you know, secondary school straight into AFTA. You've many kind of more skills you'd like to think at that stage. So airlines do like that as well. Yeah. Anybody else? Hayley, you were saying something there. Sorry, I kind of cut across you, I think. No. Okay. Perfect. Great. So yeah, as Jenna said, if there's any other questions, your email address is up there, isn't it?
It is indeed. Yeah, it's jenna.eustace@afta.ie. And just for everyone as well, we're going to pop this recording on the AFTA website as well. So it'll just be under the news section. So you'll be able to find it there tomorrow as well. Okay. But from myself at AFTA, I just want to say a massive thank you to our panelists tonight for that great information, and thank you so much to everyone who's attended today as well. You're making the first step towards your dream by being here tonight. So well done to you for that, and wishing everyone the best of luck with their pilot training journey, and the best of luck to our panelists as well and the rest of their career. And congratulations to you all on how far you've come so far. But that's all from me at AFTA. Have you got any final words of wisdom for anybody before we jump off?
Keep believing in yourself, work hard. If we can do it, you can definitely do it. Do your research of everything we've talked about.
Keep your head down and go for it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And thanks so much for the opportunity of being involved in everything, Jenna, as well.
Of course. Okay, well, we'll leave it there then. So thanks everybody for joining. Again, if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Okay, have a great evening, everybody. Bye now.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.